Welcome to the show, John Gross. John, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Jason and Boo?
Doing well. Well, first off, what is it that you do for F5 generally? I know we're going to talk iHealth and that, but what's your role?
Yeah, my role at iHealth is pretty much all of the revenue can be attributable to my teams.
Okay,
So we make all the money for iHealth. Is kind of how
so
it, or for
you're the money
F5 is
man.
how it
That's
goes. Yes, exactly. No, I'm kidding.
Nice.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, I'm kidding. So my role at F5 is I run a couple of teams. One of those is the iHealth team, and that team provides tooling for F5 internal escalation teams. So teams working on customer issues and opportunities, helping them refine their use of F5 gear. And then also we make it available to customers to sort of help themselves if they want to take that path.
okay, cool. And just back in the truck way up before even F5. How did you get into technology? What was your journey?
So I went. I'm in Seattle. I went, for those people listening who might be in Seattle, I went to Evergreen State College, which is not necessarily known for its STEM background, but I did do a marine biology undergrad degree there, and quickly realized that marine biology does not necessarily guarantee you a good living. So I took that and turned it into sort of a side gig. And my dad was a embedded firmware's software engineer for a bunch of different Siemens and a bunch of different other sort of medical tech companies. And so I grew up with Linux, and he wouldn't let me use Windows. And like, he was like a hardcore, gray beard, the old school gray beard Unix guy.
Good
So
man.
that's kind of how I got into it. Yeah. I grew up on it. So.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah, okay. So what is iHealth? We kind of danced around it, but what if you back all the way up, what is iHealth? What does that service provide?
So iHealth is a web service that provides troubleshooting and diagnostics and data displays information for right now for BigIP, the BigIP product line. So there's a utility that you run in your BigIP, and it generates a large tarball of diagnostics or of diagnostic data. So there's some memory dumps, there's some partial parts of the file system get snapshotted. We get a bunch of configuration data dumps. And this is the tool that can take that tarball and can decode it into something that a human can understand. So that all comes in machine readable, like XML formats and sort of raw file formats from different packages that run on the BigIP. And we take that data and produce a display that gives you an idea of how the machine is running. It'll do graphing for performance, CPU, memory usage, that kind of stuff. And then we've got a homegrown farm of about, I don't know, 3,000 to 4,000 diagnostics that dig through all that data and give you information that's specific to your installation and configuration on your BigIP.
Well, so primarily,
That's
is it
used.
just? Nope. Actually, I think you might have been rolling into the question I was going to ask. Is that primarily used by support, or do we see all sorts of parts of F5 and customers using it, I guess?
Yeah, it shows up in a bunch of different places. So the primary sort of motivator for the tool was to get. So we'll back the truck up a little bit on this, but the old school way to troubleshoot issues that customers were having was for an F5 engineer to actually log into the customer's BigIP and have a look around, maybe even take some action, run some commands and fix some stuff up. uh, that quickly becomes, first of all, it becomes hard to scale, and second of all, it leaves F5 at risk. We don't want to be in there making the problem even worse by accident, fat fingering something, right? You don't want a support engineer on your box. uh, so so the data dump was developed in order to give the escalation teams at F5 and the product support teams at F5 enough information to figure things out without needing to be on the box. That was sort of the origin story of iHealth. We quickly realized that there was a bunch of different, aside from product development, escalation teams, and global support network engineers being able to use that data to help customers. Uh, it was also valuable for customers. Maybe they can use this to not even get engaged with support and just fix their problem themselves. So we built this big library of diagnostics, and we keep adding to that every week or two. And that's made available almost in its untouched form, the same interface that the product escalation teams use, we made available to customers over a web UI, and so that tool and all the sort of tribal knowledge that's captured in those diagnostics is available to really anyone that wants to use it.
Yeah, I've used it before for like way back, uh, maybe towards the beginning. Do you remember when it launched? What year?
Yeah, it's when I was at F5. I was hired as a software engineer to help do that. It was in 2010.
Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah.
because I think that's right around the same time DevCentral was out in the Blue Lock virtual data center and all that when we
Yes,
were
exactly.
operationally responsible for it. So anytime I was going to do an upgrade, I'd upload my quick views and kind of
Hmm.
look through and see if there was any outstanding things that I might be able to take care of in the process of an upgrade. So I remember it being uh, fantastically useful when I was operationally responsible.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really the sort of primary, like, that's the primary sort of audience outside of internal F5 use, right? Is those operations and upgrades, and I'm having this problem. Let me just run it through iHealth and see if they can help me identify it, real quick, and I can go get on with my day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Any favorite features or maybe a feature that took you a hot minute to actually go from idea to fruition?
I I'm gonna be pretty upfront about my favorite thing about iHealth is that we've had a public API, uh, and that's been available ever since, I don't know, about 2005. So that that's really gone a long way. It's the same public the same public API that's available, that's used by our own products. So we have some integrations with F5 Gear and F5 iHealth. BigIQ has an integration where it can send all the data from the big IPs it knows about into iHealth, and we'll do all the number crunching and send back results, and it can provide sort of aggregate displays for all your gear. Um, Big IP's got an integration as well. That same API is the one that's available to the public. Anyone can use that as well. And I've had customers call and say, we use this for our internal audit and reporting.
Hmm.
So I just seen what customers do with that, and how it sort of fits into their compliance, or whatever kind of security measures they're taking. We become part of an important tool chain for them, and I think that's my favorite part of it.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I was going to ask you, how to integrate it into an automation workflow, but you kind of talked about that. One
Yeah.
of the things I've thought about doing is, this concept of phone home from Big IP.
Hmm.
It sounds like some of that is already there, but I recently did a script where you could automate your quick views,
Hmm.
and so you just say, "Hey, run this," and it goes out, and then it'll download it. It sounds like I can then further flesh that out and use the iHealth to take that quick view, upload it to iHealth, and then get that link back. So, that kind of script could be integrated into even your network operations center,
Hmm.
where it's not necessarily you're not automating diagnostics or anything, but you're automating. Hey, I got this trap come in. Go ahead and pull down a quick view, upload it iHealth. We have it take a look, and you can populate that link up into that trap in your console, and you never have to do anything. It'll just
Yeah.
do it automatically. So that's kind
Yeah.
of cool.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a couple of customers, who have, I don't know, upwards of 1,000 boxes, and we'll get uploads every week from them, like regular
Wow.
as rain every Monday night, right? We get this huge dump of stuff, and it's one customer. They're just doing their due diligence and checking to see if there's anything new to be aware of, and that all that automation can be done. The API is not only like upload and that, but it also has the command output, get the diagnostics results, get information about the hardware that it is, right? So you can sort of do, it's not asset tracking, but you can use that to inform asset tracking and other things too.
Yeah, and
That's
if I
kind of neat
recall, oh, go ahead.
because that's kind of neat because I know iHealth sometimes has indicators of compromise built into it as well. So I can imagine a security operations team is also maybe using that to just do, health checks from their perspective on the box.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so security wise is one of the things that F5 has changed, in the sort of near term. Has We've changed to a quarterly sort of, dis what's that word? Quarterly
Mm. Quarterly
that's
security
not the word.
notification.
Anyway, yes, we started providing security notifications on a quarterly basis, and those iHealth works with the security response team at F5 to make sure that when those are announced, we have support for all of those within iHealth. So those checks are all automated in iHealth when they're announced. So rolling something in, sort of a proactive security, scan, something you can do, and as soon as the news hits the mainstream, that support's there in iHealth. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So one of the things that we've been asked a lot in the community around iHealth is, the idea of this customer prem version of iHealth, like package that in a container that you can run in your own environment, Kubernetes cluster, whatever. I'm sure you've never heard that before.
So there's two requests we get. There's two common requests we get. That's one of them. We get that from customers who generally have information policies that keep them from sending us those diagnostic data dumps, or from generally governments across the world who, I guess for the same reasons, they've got policies that say we're not going to divulge our network, topology to anybody. Here's the problem that's prevented us from just fixing that. iHealth was architected and built to be sort of an internet scale web service. Turning that into something that runs on a desktop or in a VM somewhere is tricky. Turning that architecture, like putting Pandora back into the box when we've let her out years ago, right? She was built to run at scale. It's a tricky proposition. Now, we are working on a re-architected iHealth that would allow much more easily for us to do that.
Okay.
We've actually got an alpha version of an on-prem running, but we've been focusing on getting the regular iHealth re-architected, the public iHealth re-architected. So we've kind of paused on that, but we do know that request, we know a lot of you people listening to this may have that request, and we're aware of it and we're working on it. Our priority is to get the public one running first.
Well, truth be told, that's a shocking answer to me, because I thought we were just going to get the immediate shutdown on that, but that you're working on it and there's alpha versions, that's like super exciting.
Yeah, it's something we're exploring. I mean, there's demand for it. With the re-architecture, I think it's technically feasible. So yeah, it's something we're heavily evaluating and kind of working on with as we have time. Yep.
Well, cool. So, I mean, since you are giving gifts here that I didn't even know about, I'll ask another question that I was sure was going to be a shutdown. But you mentioned that this is for BigIP. Is the BigIP Next that's coming for things like Nginx and other things that are starting to get into the fold. Is that on the roadmap as well, where we have product breadth, or will this remain a BigIP tool?
No, that's a good question. I'll give you another gift. We are planning to support as much of the F5 product line as we can. Obviously, we've got good deep support for classic BigIP. BigIP Next, we have I would say preliminary support. So in other words, you can take a BigIP Next quick view and upload it and get some basic information out of it. We are working on the sort of content you're going to need, because in a lot of instances, because of the re-architecture of BigIP, there's a bunch of data displays and areas of interest that we don't have coverage for. So we support the format and we support it, but we don't have the content we'd like in place quite yet. So we're working with the network support teams and product escalation teams and the BigIP teams to come up with what that means.
Well, awesome all around. That's exciting news. I feel like it's been Christmas today.
That's BigIP Next. We're also looking at supporting Nginx. We're looking at supporting, across all the product lines, not just the big sort of TMOS based, but really anything that F5 sells. Eventually, we'd like to support. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned it's like it takes time. I mean, you do have 18 plus years of knowledge base on the BigIP platform to actually have heuristics to provide.
Yeah.
And F5 OS is relatively new and all that. So
yep. Yeah, it takes a while to spin up on that, and it takes a while for when new products are released, that's part of the program is it takes a while to figure out uh, what content, what data displays, and what diagnostics we need, right? Like what's going to be problematic. We may have our ideas, but until a product hits the market and we start getting support traffic and volumes we can see patterns in, we kind of wait. Honestly, we wait for that because otherwise we're building in the dark and we don't actually know what we need.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's fair. You don't want to spin cycles.
Right.
Yep. Well, awesome. I mean, I had a list of questions and they all got answered, and some of them in ways I didn't even hope to achieve. So
Oh, good.
Very cool.
yeah, it's like Santa Claus here.
Well, I got the beard here started though.
All right.
After
Well,
COVID, I've got the belly, so I'm on my way.
well, thank you, John, so much for joining us. This has been really informative, and again, thanks. And hopefully, we'll have you on again as we get closer to re-architecture, and maybe we walk through that architecture.
I
That'd be
would
fun.
love that. That'd be fun.
Okay,
Very
cool.
Hey, thanks so much, you guys.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Thanks.